Okay, recording this video after close trading Monday 28th of April 2014. Hope you had a good day's trading today. Extraordinary day. It was like a double reversal day. We did 1.8 million contracts traded. We've closed back up at the top of the range, 1866. Haven't had a very strong kind of bounce. And the question is, was that a real bounce or was it just news driven? We're getting perilously close back up to top of this kind of resistance channel here, and a break up above that would potentially take us into an uptrending move. So let me show you what I'm seeing on my charts. We're on the better trend lines. We're still stuck in congestion here, but we've had a couple of goes, one to the upside and one to the downside. So the congestion bars are painted in white when we're kind of stuck between trend lines. We had a false breakout a couple of weeks ago, and then we kind of dove to the other side of the channel and broke through. Then we bounced off this rising trend line to come back into that zone, and we're closing again within this congestion zone. But as it narrows, we kind of run out of time, and we're close to the top of that trend line. So the question is, are we going to punch through? And you can see it on a bunch of the daily charts with resistance lines that have come in. So this is the Dow. So after the weakness that we had last week, you can see the resistance lines kind of come in. We've had nice kind of flush patterns come in, and a big blue professional bar, up bar kind of today. So a break of the low of this bar would mean that all of that strength that we saw today was just professionals getting ready to short it on a retrace. So they kind of gamed it up in order to get short. So the low of today's bar is absolutely key. You can see this again, the Nasdaq. So the bounce that we had back up in the Nasdaq, having broken through cyclical support, was very weak. It was all amateur up bar stuff. And then we came into that resistance point, which ended up being a pullback and a downtrend. You can see printed after today's activity. So this has to roll out to pull back to end of trend, but we've come back up pretty close there. It didn't just kind of keep on going. So again, looking at the resistance line on that daily chart, it's kind of absolute key level. S&P 500 looks just like the Dow. Big blue professional bar, again the low of this, breaking that to the low will be a sign that was kind of a last roll of the dice. Professionals using that strength during the afternoon in order to get short. And then the Russell we don't have volume data, so we can't do better momentum, we can't do better pro-am here, but it's the same kind of chart as the Nasdaq, so very weak. And the high beta indices, been saying this for a couple of weeks now, the high beta indices, the Russell and the Nasdaq, have been the weakest because they've dropped through support. We've come back up, pull back in a downtrend. This one's a little bit weaker in terms of the close. We didn't get such a strong bounce on the Russell. So it's kind of a critical day, and was that kind of late day strength just an opportunity for the professionals to short covering rally and then kind of get short on that kind of strength? And you can see it here on the 40,500 tip bar chart. So the last move down, pull back to dirty end of trend after exhaustion, bullish divergence kind of comes in, and we rocket back up, test back up into the 1880s. We don't end up with exhaustion patterns here. It was kind of no demand, kind of lack of demand up here with the final Rambo pattern. Again, pull back to dirty end of trend with today's activity, and we fall off. And this is the initial kind of strength of that selling that we had. But blue professional bars kind of come in at the lows, and we bounce all the way back. And so that strength of that short covering rally all the way back means we've got blue professional bars kind of coming back in. So are they going to use that opportunity to get short on this kind of temporary strength, and then come back through the lows today, which will mean we were into a strong downtrend? Don't know, just kind of wait and see. We've still got to play out on the 4,500 tip bar chart, a pull back to end of trend move and so on. But breaking back below the lows of that blue professional bar, kind of at 55, 56 around there, would show that we're heading back down and going to crash through there. But that was a big kind of rally back this afternoon. So my trading, I wasn't trading last week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Just this change in time zones killing me. So I decided to take it easy. Had a good Monday and Tuesday. So I didn't trade the last part of last week, but got back into my trading today, and it was a beauty for kind of examples of triples kind of going on. First trade I took was long at 64.75, just thinking that we were going to continue with the uptrend that we'd started to make on Friday's reversal trade. So Friday we came into all these exhaustion patterns here, short covering rally with the strength of these exhaustion buying bars here, and we come back and we test in here. Blue professional bars at the lows, a little bit of weakness at the end of the week there with its exhaustion sell, that's fine, and we kind of set off in the Sunday afternoon to break to new highs. And then before the open we had a little bit of strength here, blue professional bar kind of coming in, and I jumped in at 64.75 pre the open, but ran out of steam with a pullback to end of trend. Amateur up bar up here, and all of a sudden we just let go to the downside. But what was happening here was we were pushing back and testing, and next time we see a blue professional bar kind of come in, it was actually the first one on the 1500, was back to this kind of breakout zone down here at 58s, and we just overshoot momentarily, come back in, and then we get going to the upside. So took a 3-point loss on that long trade to start with, and went short just briefly at 60.50, but then got out with a half point loss as soon as this started to roll around, just because we were breaking back and we broke the lows of that blue professional bar. I was thinking, well, potentially, you know, we're just going to break into a downtrend and just kind of keep on going. But no, we kind of quickly made it back up above the highs of this blue professional bar and set off on the upside. So I was down 3.5 points after the first two trades, and then got on board this long trade, long 61 even. So I was a little bit mad with myself that I'd taken such a big loss, and I rode this one up for 8 points, which is kind of unusual for me, but made back all my losses on the first two trades. And it wasn't over until we saw all the blue professional bars kind of coming at the highs up here, up in the 70s, and then it just rolls over and then heads down. We had some initial support, pullback to end of trend here with exhaustion bullish divergence, which was the low on Friday, down here at kind of 56s to start with. That level was kind of key from Friday's low, but it wasn't enough to hold it. We went into a Rambo pattern, and then 11 a.m. window kind of comes along. We hadn't reversed by then. We kept on going to the downside, and then this is the strength in the afternoon. Having had all these pullback to dirty end of trend, flush patterns, and so on, and then rocket back up to the upside. In terms of the best entry for these trades, both the long and the short were both triples. Up here we had triple support kind of coming in on the 1500, triple resistance coming in on the 1500, 4500 at the highs up here, and as soon as we kind of broke down through here, we kind of kept on going. You can see that on the 45. Here's the support and here's the resistance, and all of those blue professional bars at that high. That was not going to look good as soon as we start breaking below the lows of those blue professional kind of bars up, a congestion up there, and then they come back in as we make the lows down here. So there we go. Might tag on that day trade because it was a nice one. It does show a good example of a reversal. Kind of initially thinking that thing was just going to continue going down, and then change my mind and going the other way, and the reasons for that. But is that for real? Is that strength that we saw today on the 4500 tip bar chart, all these charts here? This has still got to go pull back end of trend. This has kind of shown the strength of the move kind of getting going. It's not necessarily on a left shoulder particularly going to end this thing. We haven't seen blue professional bars up here like we saw up here. They were buying that breakout in anticipation of kind of moving to the highs. So let's wait and see. I'm kind of in two minds as to what might happen, but if the low of today gets broken, we're going down hard for a while. Hope your trading's going well. Just reverse went long 61 even, long 61 even, so half point loss on that short trade, and just didn't want to go. Let's just check my stops and targets. So that just looks like an overshoot now of support, and kind of caught by this higher time frame pullback to end of trend. So we've got triple support coming in here, this last push down blue professional bar, and we're breaking back above the highs of that. So here we go, here's the rally back. Friday we had our exhaustion pattern, short covering rally, the strength of this one here, came back into test, blue professional bars kind of came in bullish divergence, and we kind of held in that area. So today we've just kind of slunk off back to test back down into that region, and we've held. No blue professional bars on 4500. We've got this nice one down here on 15, so kind of coming back in. and we're breaking back up. So now we've got a break. So we've got no blue professional bars taking profits here at Rainbow pattern. Let's break up through 62 and take us into a trend move on the 500. Okay, blue professional bar up here, and we're breaking the highs of that. Alright, we just rocketed through resistance, taking this trend move on 500. A little bit of a gathering there, blue fractional bars were just kind of keeping going. So that exhaustion pattern's showing the strength of getting this move going. So come on, got to think about moving my target. We got highs at 67 even, so we could easily get through those. Everybody kind of joins in. Alright, I've just moved the target out at 68, which is a hell of a long way. I don't normally do that, but we're coming back up to initial target 65. I just think we've proved this low with this big retrace, and now this highs in play 67. We've got pending home sales at 9 AM, it's 8:56. So we've got to sit through that, but we'll break into a trend move here. 7,000, which is a decent reading here. Well, 65, the original target just got hit. We've got a 10,000 reading on better momentum, which is big. It's 9 AM, it's pending home sales number kind of coming in out. Here we go. A little bit of a rush, no blue professional bars here. So we're going support to resistance on 4,500. We're going a trend move on 500 here. And target 68. So this kind of strength is just showing getting going on this move. It's not like an exhaustion move on the left shoulder. Alright, I know we've had resistance coming on 1500, but we're going to burst through there. Scott, go pull back end of trend on 500 as we're coming to us. So 67 even was the original high for the day. So we've got some stops to run there, targets at 68. So not much in terms of blue fractional bars here. Playing off this amateur down bar stuff, come back, come. So this is where I really find it difficult. So we get a nice little stretch past the original target at 65, and then we come back to it, and I'm like thinking, why didn't I get out? But come on, this has got to go pull back end of trend. Just technical weakness kind of at that previous high, 67 even. Okay, amateur down bars, rainbow patterns here. In 63s and the blue fractional bars step in as we're coming down to make support. So called support on 500. Should pull back in an uptrend. So let's do that. Get that support going, and then we'll get through 67 this time. Wasn't any real professional profit taking up here at the highs. A little bit of time to run here till resistance comes in. Alright, finally. I think it's going to be worthwhile. We're coming back up to 65. There we go. And it's just been amateur downward. Look at all these rainbow patterns. 1, 2, 3, 4. Amateurs, amateurs, amateurs. Going short, going short. We initially had an amateur up bar here on 1500, and then we came back from there. So it's like all this activity, they're getting short. So we're coming through. Let's get up. 67 this time is in play. It's all amateur down bars. And we've got to see exhaustion. We've got to see blue professional bars coming in. Now target's at 68. Question, do I leave it? Do I move it out? Alright, this is an important pattern. I'm going to make a note of this and talk about this in a little bit of detail. Blue professional down bar, kind of mid-sequence. Movement target out at 69, and the reason for that is we're going to break through these highs, and that's the reason why. So initially just at resistance here, a little blue professional bar, kind of profit taking a little bit. We come back in, and that little blue professional bar kind of comes in there. This is mid-sequence. We've got a resistance there above us, and they've kind of just picked up that little retrace, immediately break above the highs of that, and we're going for a break above resistance. Now we're going into a trend move break here, above 66. It's actually gone off with a support, but if what it's really doing is, there we go, is breaking above resistance levels here and here into trend moves here. So that's a really important little blue bar. So I'll just make a note of that, maybe talk about that in some detail. So previous high for the day is 67. We just got it. It's kind of neutral on 1500 at the moment. We haven't gone runaway kind of exhaustion pattern yet, but that's where we're heading. Target's at 69. I want to see what that reading is when this bar closes. But anyway, so there we go. So we got up to a resistance on 67. We're going to crack through that. Takes into a trend move here. And yeah, we've not seen any blue professional bars taking profits, no exhaustion patterns as we're breaking to highs. So good, this is going to keep going. But that's important. Alright, come on. Let's go. Go. Take it out. 69 for 8 points. Just as the blue professional bars start to come in here on 1500. Excellent. It's not a particularly big reading on better momentum. I thought it would be a bigger reading than that. So, but I needed to make up 3-point loss on the first trade and a half-point loss on the second. Had the direction right on the first trade, but it just, had to do this big dig down in order to kind of test it here. So, was that 4.5 points after 3 trades? That was a nice one. I'm glad I pushed my target out there because that was the right thing to do. Good. 9:17 a.m. We've got Dallas Fed manufacturing at 9:30. I'm done, but I just might watch it for a few minutes, see what happens.